Wow, NASCAR just announced sweeping rule changes ahead of the 2025 season.
Some crazy NASCAR news, and I'm just going to read it right to you guys from NASCAR.com. Basically, NASCAR dropping a ton of rule changes just about 20, 30 minutes ago.
Something big is about to happen in NASCAR, and it could change everything fans thought they knew. In just a short time, a rule that's been in place for years might not exist anymore. Why now? And what does it mean for the future of racing? The answer isn't simple, and what's coming could shock a lot of people. Right now, there's a rule that starts in 2020. It says that Cup drivers with a lot of experience can only race in 5 Xfinity and 5 truck races each year. They also can't race in the last 8 races of the season, like the playoffs and the final big race. NASCAR made this rule to give full-time Xfinity and truck drivers a better chance to win without having to beat the really big stars from the Cup Series. But now, NASCAR is rethinking everything. In a recent press event, NASCAR President Steve O'Donnell confirmed the organization is actively reviewing this rule, as the Xfinity Series prepares for a major rebrand under its new title sponsor, O'Reilly Auto Parts. Set to take over in 2026, NASCAR is using this transitional moment to reassess long-standing policies. Conversations are already underway with key stakeholders, including broadcast partners the CW and FOX, about whether loosening these restrictions could be a strategic advantage. Cup drivers have been racing in the lower series for years. Kyle Busch once won 13 Xfinity races in one season. Some fans loved it, others felt it took away chances from younger drivers trying to grow. That debate is now back in full force. On one side, supporters argue that allowing more Cup participation boosts visibility and brings star power to races that otherwise struggle for mainstream attention. Sponsors love the exposure, ticket sales get a bump, and younger drivers benefit from racing against the sport's elite. Kyle Larson, a current Cup Series superstar, recently spoke out in favor of changing the rule. He believes a greater Cup presence would enhance competition and draw in larger crowds.
I think maybe things will come up tomorrow and seeing how, driver intros go or the post-race podium and stuff. I think that's, could be an easy piece to incorporate to other weekends.
But critics see it differently. They argue that increased Cup involvement in Xfinity and truck races can skew competition, block developmental drivers from critical race experience, and make it harder for new names to break through. If NASCAR is truly committed to fostering future talent, many believe it must prioritize giving these young drivers room to grow without being overshadowed by more experienced veterans. O'Donnell's statement didn't confirm a specific direction, but it's clear NASCAR is leaning into the possibility of change. Some sources suggest the cap could be raised from 5 to 7 races per season. Others believe NASCAR might go even further, modifying playoff eligibility rules or removing the final 8-race restriction altogether. With the 2025 playoffs soon to be underway, NASCAR is under some pressure to decide what the playoff format will look like next season. NASCAR President Steve O'Donnell told Erica Stepp that they are in the final processes of determining what 2026 will look like. O'Donnell mentioned that if they stick to the status quo, there's gotta be a pretty good explanation as to why. This isn't just a procedural shift, it could have ripple effects across the sport. The CW, which will begin airing the newly branded O'Reilly Auto Parts series in 2026, is looking for ways to maximize ratings and draw in new audiences. Featuring Cup stars in select lower-tier races is one way to do that. NASCAR knows that putting names like Kyle Busch, Denny Hamlin, or Chase Elliott on an Xfinity roster guarantees more eyes on the product. The Xfinity and Truck Series help new drivers grow. Letting them race without too many Cup stars gives them a chance to shine. Drivers like Ty Gibbs and Austin Hill have done well because of this. NASCAR is changing with new tracks, car models, and digital platforms. Some fans want more Cup drivers in Xfinity and truck races to make things more exciting, while others fear it will hurt young drivers trying to win and move up. There's also a business angle. Sponsors have always gravitated toward recognizable names. It's easier to sell a race to advertisers when it includes high-profile drivers. That economic reality may be one of the biggest drivers behind NASCAR's reconsideration. The partnership with O'Reilly Auto Parts and the CW comes with pressure to deliver results, and big names bring big numbers. Of course, the Cup veterans themselves are split. Some relish the opportunity to race more frequently and in more relaxed settings. Others worry that additional exposure in lower series might dilute their main stage appeal or risk injuries in less lucrative races. Ultimately, each driver will have to decide how much crossover racing makes sense for their brand and performance goals. At the heart of the issue is a simple question: what's best for the future of the sport? NASCAR has to balance the desire for star power and ratings with the need to cultivate a new generation of talent. That's no easy task. The rule changes in 2020 were implemented for a reason, and undoing them could create unintended consequences. If NASCAR does decide to move forward with rule changes, the 2026 season would likely be the first test case, with O'Reilly Auto Parts taking over as title sponsor and the CW broadcasting races. It's the perfect storm for a reboot. The organization has made no secret that it wants to grow the audience and make the sport more accessible to casual fans. Featuring Cup stars in high-profile races could be the shortcut they're looking for. Still, NASCAR will have to tread carefully. Fans are fiercely loyal and protective of the sport's developmental roots. Any perception that the series is favoring big names over hardworking prospects could trigger backlash. Even with more exposure and better ratings, NASCAR risks alienating its core audience if changes feel like a sellout. There's also the matter of fairness. The playoffs are designed to reward consistency and performance over a full season. If Cup drivers start taking wins away from regulars during key moments, it could undermine the credibility of the entire format. NASCAR must consider whether any new rule tweaks will preserve the spirit of fair competition. In the coming months, NASCAR officials, teams, sponsors, and broadcasters will continue these discussions behind closed doors. While no final decision has been announced, it's clear the rule is under serious review. Whether it results in a slight adjustment or a complete overhaul remains to be seen. For now, fans can only speculate. But one thing is certain: if Cup drivers are given more freedom to race in the lower tiers, the dynamics of the Xfinity and Truck series will change overnight. Whether that change is for better or worse depends on your point of view and on how NASCAR chooses to handle this high-stakes decision. As the 2026 season approaches and the sport enters a new era with fresh branding and broadcast strategies, NASCAR faces a crossroads. Will it embrace the star power of its most famous names and let them roam across all three national series, or will it double down on its commitment to fostering the next generation of stock car legends? Whatever the outcome, one thing is clear: the decision won't just affect who shows up on the starting grid. It will shape the future of NASCAR itself.